In this video, we will examine quarterback Lamar Jackson. Selected as the 32nd player in the first round of the 2018 draft, Jackson is already being regarded as the heir apparent to incumbent quarterback Joe Flacco. But will he have any fantasy value in the upcoming season? We will examine two facets that help us derive such value. One, the skills and traits he displayed in college and how those translate to fantasy points at the NFL level. And two, the context of his capacity within the structure of the Baltimore Ravens and how that might enhance or limit his gain this autumn. Jackson is what we refer to as a dual-threat quarterback. Any headlines we've seen post-draft are all about Jackson's athleticism and his 4.34 speed and Mike Vick comparisons, and we'll get to all that in a minute. But he does display a number of traits within the pocket. In this specific clip, we will focus on what he can do as opposed to what he cannot. Jackson's going to work the wide side of the field. We have man coverage up top. The farthest receiver will run a hitch, and the slot receiver will run a corner route. The offense will have 6 blockers, 5 offensive linemen, and 1 running back for the 5 rushers the defense is bringing. Check out Jackson's poise. He knows he has 6 to block 5, and he's as cool as a cucumber, standing peacefully in the pocket, trusting, confident. Eyes on the matchup advantage, he sees in the slot. His receiver has 3 inches and about 30 pounds on the DB. Notice the DB takes inside leverage. Normally in man with 1 deep safety, the DBs will take outside leverage because they have help in the middle of the field. It's possible that Florida State questioned Jackson's accuracy on throws outside the numbers. He also never completed more than 60% of his passes in a season, and thus they were going to take away the in-cuts and make him throw it outside. On this play though, he was up to the challenge. Now, he throws it to the spot far enough away from the deep safety, fellow first-round pick Derwin James, while leading his leveraged receiver, showing great touch, placement, and recognition of where the ball needed to go. Touchdown. Evidence that he has the capability to throw it deep and accurate. He just needs to develop consistency. He has room to grow, and we will see later how that affects his prospects for the 2018 season. Obviously, when most think of Lamar Jackson, they think of the crazy athleticism, agility, speed, breaking angles. It's this uniqueness at the quarterback position that presents the tremendous upside as a player and fantasy quarterback. The running ability alone to escape the pocket on 3rd and 10 and pick up 10 yards provides a safe floor that we see in so many dual-threat quarterbacks. The accumulation of fantasy points on the ground makes Lamar Jackson an electric fantasy piece. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, we believe Baltimore, much like Houston is doing with Deshaun Watson, will incorporate concepts with which Jackson had experience in college. There are numerous ways to enact Jackson's speed and athleticism. One way is zone read. In this play, Louisville's entire line minus the left tackle will zone block to the offense's right. The left tackle will hinge block the linebacker on the back side of the play. This will open up a massive hole, as we will soon see. Jackson is reading the backside down lineman. Down lineman refers to the guys with their hand in the dirt. If this defender goes for Jackson, he will hand it to the running back. And if the defender goes for the running back, Jackson will pull it, keep it, and he will become the ball carrier. And this is exactly what he does. The zone steps to the offense's right, get the D-line and linebackers flowing in that direction. The backside linebacker rushes wide right into the left tackle's hinge block. And these components create a huge space for Jackson to read, pull, and demonstrate why you don't give this guy a crease. The defenders possess the ability to squeeze this hole, illustrated by the gold and teal lines. But because of Jackson's incredible acceleration and burst, they're forced to change their angles to more obtuse, illustrated by the white line, and now they will be unable to meet at Jackson and make the tackle. There are not as many nearly big runs in the NFL compared to college, and that's important to remember with Jackson's conversion to the pro game. but his running skills will allow him to extend plays and drives, leading to increased attempts, passing, running, and ultimately more fantasy points. We now have a better understanding of a few of the skills and capabilities that compose Lamar Jackson. To further enhance and project his fantasy value, we must analyze the situation and context he has been placed in. To even begin having fantasy value, Jackson will first have to get on the field, and that requires displacing Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback. Let's face it, the Ravens' offense for the last several years has been one of the worst in the NFL. It's easy to understand why Ozzie Newsome used his last career draft to acquire 2 offensive players in the first round, the second of the 2 being Lamar Jackson. In 2017 ESPN scoring, Flacco finished 24th in fantasy points amongst quarterbacks. He was under 200 with 185. That's 60 points behind Blake Bortles. He threw for just over 3,100 yards and averaged less than 200 yards a game while only throwing 18 touchdowns. The Ravens completely overhauled their receiving corps, deleting Mike Wallace, Jeremy Maclin, Michael Campanaro, and Ben Watson, and entering Michael Crabtree, Willie Snead, John Brown, and rookie Hayden Hurst. So one has to decide, is Flacco only as good as the parts around him? Or has he been resting on his laurels, disenchanted with the game after winning the Super Bowl in 2012? Never underestimate the psychological aspect of the game. John Harbaugh has publicly stated that Joe Flacco is the Ravens quarterback for the 2018 season. Joe Flacco is this year's Alex Smith, back against the wall, feeling the pressure and faced with the reality that his days in Baltimore are numbered. So he must decide, do I want to keep playing this game? The answer is yes. Joe Flacco will have the best statistical season of his career, and Lamar Jackson, packaged plays aside, will assume the Pat Mahomes role, sitting, learning, and waiting. And thus, the strategy for 2018, do not draft Lamar Jackson in season long. Leave him on waivers, but immediately put a waiver wire claim on him in the event that Joe Flacco incurs injury and cannot start, as his upside is the highest of any rookie QB entering the league. We have looked at the numerous skills and characteristics that make up Lamar Jackson's play and how they transfer into NFL fantasy production. In addition, we discussed the various aspects of context that define Jackson's place within the structure of the Baltimore Ravens. The summation of these variables conclude that although Lamar Jackson has the type of quarterback traits that convert into weekly fantasy points, it will not be until the 2019 season that they will begin to see fruition. We wish you nothing but the best in your fantasy 2018 ventures. Thank you for watching. This has been a Doom Pro presentation.